Alright, around 1 week after release, I'm back with another video for Story of Seasons A Wonderful Life. I am in chapter 2, which means the first year is already over, and I want to show you around and give you my first impressions, after one in-game year of time, of what I think about this remake of one of my favorite childhood games. First of all, hello cow, how are you today? She loves me. Yeah, my animals are all nice and healthy. I got a few chickens. I just sold one. I hatched an egg. I had a fertilized egg and a male one hatched. I don't need that. I sold that one as fast as possible. That's not eating my food in this game. I only want animals that produce things. And roosters do not. You're the only one who is allowed to stay because you fertilize my eggs, so I can make more babies. So these two actually lay eggs. I got them high enough that at least one of them regularly gives me golden eggs, which is pretty nice. Here the other two. One of them is being sold. My other animals, like the horse, is basically as useless as in the original game. And it has a bit of a slow start for some reason. Riding around, yeah, I mean you can call it anywhere. You can press the R button. Yeah, let me go off so it shows here. So R button, and you can call the horse anywhere on the map, and you can just sit on it and ride around. But you want to talk to people so much to raise your friendship that you don't really want to always hop on and off. I wish you could talk to people while being on the back of the horse. Like, you cannot do that. That's one thing I wish they had added, so it would actually make sense to ride it around, so you could still talk to people. So let's take a tour on my horse. First time I'm using it properly, because I'm not planning on talking to too many people today. We got actually it's a van day. So van is in town, so a lot of people have the day off to go shopping. Here we are at the spring. The imps are over here, the harvest sprites. So overall, this game is, I think, a fantastic remake. Here you can actually move over here. You don't have to go the entire way. If you are already like a year in and you just realize this, like this is a mind-blowing achievement in the game. In the original game, you had to walk all the way around. It took me, I think, like 1 or 2 in-game months to find this one out, that I can just cross the river on this point. Man, what a quality of life improvement. So overall, very good remake. I enjoy the graphics a lot more than I thought. They're bright and colorful, basically the opposite of the more realistic and muted art style and color choice of the original game. But I think it's pretty fitting. Like, it's not a replacement for the original game. So it's not the original game, but better. But it's a more modernized and like more in line with the current Story of Seasons game take on the concept of a life simulation. And that's what I enjoy about this one. So minor spoiler right now. You probably already know this, but what I'm going to show you is a spoiler for like chapter 2. Like one of the characters dies over here. So you see over time this used to be an empty hill. Now like there's a little shrine over here, a bench, and the tombstone for one of the characters in the game. So these are the types of changes you can expect. I never made it past, I think I made it past year 2 on the GameCube one, but chapter 2 is I think 2 or 3 years long, so I never made it into chapter 3. What you can do, and like in chapter 2 is where this game unfolds. You can actually mix crops. You have access to a plant on your farm to mix crops to make hybrid crops, which make they give you more money. It's just more fruits you can get, and you have to raise your friendship with that weird 3-headed plant. In the original, its name was Tartan, and in this remake, actually, let's go visit him. Let's talk to him. His name is Vinny in this remake. So Vinny is back. Always reminds me of the old Ralph Bakshi movie. Hey, Good Looking. The main character was also named Vinny. So here's a Tartan Vinny, however you want to call it. Yeah, let's chat. Wanna keep chatting? That's fine with me. No? Is it full of plants like me? Alright. So what you can do, once you have raised the friendship with this thing, which I've not done yet, you can feed it 2 different plants and it will make a hybrid plant out of them, which sell for more money. Overall farming in this game, at least now in chapter 1, oh, my son is running around. Hello, Junior! Yes, I just called him Junior. Yeah, you can like have him on your arm, and over the years he gets older, finds a job, finds interests, finds love, things like that. And I mean, in the end, spoiler again, you die in the end. So you play in the main character's entire life. This chapter 2, I think, starts. When does it start? I think like 2 or 3 years after chapter 1 ends. So you have a bit of a time jump in between chapters all the time. So yeah, Gary, his wife Nina died in chapter 2. So he's not very talkative. He moved away. We actually get new characters moving in over here, the doctor who occasionally visited Romana, I don't remember what her name was, the old lady in the villa. He actually moved over here, so you can now befriend him a little bit easier and talk to him every day. And there's a new family in town. One of them is a little child, a daughter, Kate, over here. We have the typical Japanese businessman who's unhappy with his life. And his wife is outside, probably outside. So you have 3 new characters and a returning one, which is just more accessible. Whereas Gary now has moved, oh yeah, that's his wife. Doesn't want to talk to me while entering the door. Yeah, while Gary, the old man, has moved away and he's leaving town right now. He, I guess, will occasionally visit now, so you can still befriend him, but when we go into the character interests, let's see, for example, yeah, Gary here, you can still befriend him a bit more. Nina, of course, like her meter is gone. But Badok, he is now more accessible and friendlier. He looks very scary. He's actually a friendly guy. He just wants to help out. I don't know what happened to his eye. Maybe I can find that out. So Flora over here. So I mainly focused on the bachelorettes in my first year. Now I want to focus on the other ones. I made Lumina very sad for not marrying her, and I think Nami was also pretty upset. When I remember correctly, in the original game, Nami left the valley in chapter 2. She does not do that in this game. She's still around. There she is. So I don't know if I just missed an event or maybe she's leaving later. But yeah, she's still around. In the original, she was gone and returned after... I'm not sure when she returned, if you had to activate an event or something. But it's very similar to, what was his name, Gray in Friends of Mineral Town, who left town after the first year. And in the remake, they added an event so you can actually return. You had the choice to give him a job or not, and if you gave him a job, he would stay in town. If you didn't and you missed that event, he would have been gone forever after the first year. The remake was a lot more friendly that way. You could activate an event to return him, which for me never triggered. I have no idea why, but he still isn't in my Friends of Mineral Town. Van is here. Hello, Van. Yeah, otherwise not a lot has changed. Like I said, the graphics are great. I like the more realistically proportioned characters. I said in my last video last week that at least the art style is more consistent than Friends of Mineral Town, which had more like realistic characters and then like people like the mayor who just totally didn't fit in with the others. I said that this game overall was a bit more like realistically proportioned, a bit more realistic overall. I have to take that back a little bit, because they kept a few of the more caricature style people. Like we saw Vesta earlier on, who has a big head. Let's just go into the characters and look at them. So you see, most characters are more realistically proportioned. In the original, they had a bit of a chibi big head style. Cecilia is super cute in this game. I have to say, like, man, she's super cute. So you see, they're all more realistically proportioned, but then you have people like, I don't know, Vesta over here, who still has the weird head. Like Nami actually is based on her PS2 design. You have a scruffy hair instead of the combed down one. Yeah, I mean, they're just more realistically proportioned, but then you still have the more caricature people in between somewhere. Here, for example, you still have this small Japanese lady, you know, and I mean, I would have been very sad if they changed his creepy electronic cyber eye. Of course, Gordy was also changed. He was a lot more, well, weirdly proportioned in the original. They changed him, but then you have the two short brothers, you know, who kind of fall out of line again, like him as well. Like I'm not sure. Of course, you have Van, and then you have the little homeless man, Muku Muku, of course, and Vinny. But yeah, there are still a few characters that fall out of line, so it's not as consistent as I would have hoped. Like the original was a lot more like caricature, like big bellies, big heads, chibi style. So the weird like small homeless man didn't really stick out too much. In this version. He does a bit more. So I would have thought a bit more consistency would have been nice. Let's get in the animals. Speaking of animals, here's another small problem I have again with the art style. Like that, they didn't seem to think it all the way through. Like A Wonderful Life in the original game, it was a lot more, well, realistic. Like you see, the cow is not the big round cow that you have in your usual Story of Seasons game. But you still have like some weird fluffy sheep, like they are very round if they have all their fur on. So overall, you still have the round chickens. You know, you saw them earlier. Let's visit the chickens. So it's a weird mix of realism and caricature that I think, had they gone the full way and said, okay, yes, I know the round chickens are kind of a serious mascot, but if you're changing the art style, like do it completely, or yeah, don't do this in-between thing. Okay, Molly is in bed already. Let's go to sleep as well. Overall, like in chapter 2, the game really opens up, gives you a lot of things. Like the first chapter felt a lot more like a tutorial to me, but that was also the case in the first game. So expect to put, I don't know how long it took, probably like 10 to 15 hours now that I played over the last week, where I finally got into chapter 2. And there are 6 chapters overall. I think the game takes place, in the original it was 10 years. I said that incorrectly in my last video. In the original game was 6 chapters over 10 years. Then in the PS2 version they shrunk that down to like 1 year per chapter. And I guess this is what they are doing with this remake as well. So I'll see. I told her to call me Schatz, which is very German indeed. Oh yeah. So that's basically it for this game. Okay, let's grab our son. Let's, I don't know, throw him into the air. So what can we do? Pick up. I don't know. It's only when he says up, I think. So Papa up. All right, let's do up. So now we can actually do things with him. Throw him into the air. Things change over time. You can like improve your farm. There are things locked behind story progression. For example, in chapter 2, like the kitchen unlocks, and I think there's another part in the game where the house gets even bigger. They took from the PS2 version that you have to fertilize your field. So all of this grass I had to fertilize the ground so it grows. In the GameCube version, everything was just full, and you never had any need to buy like fodder or actually any hay for your animals. And the GameCube version also had the big, most fertile field over here already unlocked. You need to buy that now for money. And you have to unlock that, pay for that. There are a few more things, like this used to be a house, now it's all outside. In the house there was the shipping box and everything. So instead of having to enter and exit a house all the time, you now have everything outside. I think you can still buy the house that goes here. I think that's one of the things you can buy. Let's check. Facilities. Yeah, I think the processing room is the thing you can buy. So, and you can like upgrade your barn, upgrade the coop. Fertilize spreader. Okay, I may have to buy one of these somewhere. So that's the game. It's a very basic Story of Seasons game. If you are more familiar with the newer titles, which went a lot more into resource gathering and leveling up all your things, like increasing the productivity of your farm, and you want to craft everything yourself, this is not the type of game you're playing. And I prefer this version of Story of Seasons, where you're just thrown into a world and you have to deal with it. So you have to wait for the shops to open. Like, there's no shop here. There's a shop like in the farm. You can buy seeds to plant, so you don't have to wait for that. But otherwise, Van comes over 2 times a month, and you have to wait for that. You want to sell items in the field, unlike other games in the series. You cannot just throw things into the shipping box. You can only ship things in the shipping box that you actually get from your farm, like money, eggs, milk, eggs, and fruit, vegetable, all of that. You cannot sell that. You have to wait for a van to come by. So if I wanted to sell my, I don't know, my Goddess Drop flower, I cannot put that into the shipping box. I have to wait for Van, and he will buy it from me. So everything, one of the characters in the game says everyone is marching to the beat of their own drum. And that is very fitting for this game. You have to build your way around living in this valley. And that's what I want from a life simulation like this. I don't need to increase productivity. I don't need sprinklers. You know, in Pioneers of Olive Town, I think just to like fight against the Stardew Valley, everyone would have said that all the quality of life improvements that Stardew Valley brought, they are not in this game, so Stardew Valley is so much better. Like, that's not the thing. I want to water my crops. I don't want to have everything run on autopilot all the time. So I want to be the guy getting out my watering can, watering my crops. Well, that's not the way I want to do it, but you understand what I mean. So it's a lot more personal, this game, than the, let's call it mechanical, almost sterile Pioneers of Olive Town. That game just didn't click with me, and I know it didn't click with many people. I don't know many people who actually really enjoyed Pioneers of Olive Town, which is, I think, one of the reasons they went back to remaking a lot of the classic games, just to learn what made them special. And I hope that they have learned a few things from these remakes. This is, from a remake perspective, definitely a step up from Friends of Mineral Town, I would say. This is a lot better of a remake. It's a very different game. You have to keep that in mind. Friends of Mineral Town and A Wonderful Life, even though they came out at the same time, they're very different games. They don't have the same focus. As a child, I didn't understand A Wonderful Life and what it tried to do. And nowadays, I love it. Like, this is the type of game I prefer to play. I'm a lot less stressed out than playing Friends of Mineral Town. Like, it's just quiet life, and I enjoy it. I'm just rambling right now. I hope you enjoyed my little trip around the farm, my experience with the game. There are a few negatives as well, like the sound design. In winter there's a weird chirping all the time that I don't know what it's supposed to say, but it's just like a bird chirping every 3 seconds and it drives you nuts. There are a few stupid decisions. This is still a budget game. This is a €40 game, brand new. And I think for that, like, you can do a lot worse with a budget game. They really went all out on this one. I enjoy it a lot. It runs fine. I'm sure the PS5 version runs better, PC version. I hope there's a 60 FPS mode for this console. I still haven't checked. But this game, 30 FPS, plays buttery smooth. I don't think I had a single frame stutter anywhere. Okay, enough rambling. Thanks very much for watching. I recommend this remake. This is something to check out if you're into the series. If you're interested, if you played the original, you want to revisit it with a fresh coat of paint and with a few quality of life improvements, I recommend this. Thanks for watching. See you next time.